Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. So this week's show, we are going to recap a little bit of the finishers, sub-only 13, the absolutes, and some matches on that. We are also going to preview the IBJJF 2021 Nogi Pans. That is the first IBJJF Nogi major with heel hooks. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine. Joined by my co-host,
Josh.
How you doing, Josh?
Good.
Like I said major, and you were kind of like, is it really?
Yes and no, I guess.
Yes and no. Your light's on, by the way, on your phone.
Oh, it is? Cool,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep, I got you. So, Josh, not a big week of news, but a lot of really fun matchups got announced this week.
Like all of the Who's Number One matches?
All the Who's
or
Number One
Gordon
matchups,
Ryan match?
or the Gordon. Oh, he's on Who's Number One too, but the one match that he's taking.
Okay, well, he's going to
Let's jump right into news here,
quote unquote compete against
Shinya Aoki
Shinya Aoki in one. That's a giant fucking squash
in
match.
a grappling match, which
That is a squash match and a half. They're just like, hey, we need you to do at least one so we can showcase you. Here, take on Aoki. And it's like, look, we saw Gary Tonin, like, he got taken down and controlled for maybe, what, like 2 minutes
if you don't
versus
know,
Aoki?
one FC, honestly, I love one FC. I love the format. I love to have a bunch of different martial arts there. They have kickboxing, they have Muay Thai, they have MMA, they have grappling. Like they showcase all of it. And now they're on TNT, which is kind of cool, which is like a U.S. broadcast channel. What's that called with TV? A TV. I don't have cable.
It's on a TV station.
It's on a TV station.
It's on TNT. Turner
so
Network.
Shinya Aoki, and so ONE FC historically has done like grappling matches, and one of the big grappling matches they had was Shinya Aoki versus Gary Tonin, which is the match that Josh is talking about because he didn't give you any context, and it's been like probably
You should know about this.
probably a year and a half since we talked about it. Like we probably haven't talked about the match since it happened.
Whatever. Gary Tonin beat the shit out of Shinya
beat the
Aoki.
shit out of him very
so
quickly.
Why you would think anything different would happen with a guy that's 70 pounds heavier than Gary Tonin versus a guy that's...
Oh, he is that much bigger, isn't he?
Versus a guy that even at his like highest weight is still probably 50 pounds lighter than Gordon.
Yeah.
Like there's no fucking way. It'll look like Aoki versus Hodger. He'll just get beat really quick.
Oh, he did fight Hodger. ADCC, right?
Yeah.
So if you ever want to be the worst luck ever, look at Shinya Aoki's ADCC run, because in his bracket, the first round he gets Marcelo, and then in the absolute first round he gets Hodger, and you can see he's just pissed. And I think in some interview later he talked about being upset about like his luck of the draw there. Aoki's a great grappler. He has a great submission highlight. He has some really nasty subs over the years.
He's not going to do any of that shit though to Gordon. It's not going to happen.
Probably doesn't have a chance against Gordon, which I never say that out loud, but it's just...
You just did.
I don't see
It's
a
out
pathway
there.
to victory for Aoki here. I don't see a pathway to defeat for Gordon here. Like, unless Gordon decides to do something weird, like, hey, I'm only going to sub him via, like, Gogo Plata or Aoki Plata or something like that. Like, I just don't see Gordon Ryan doing that. I just don't see him doing that. Like, I see him picking a sub and then making some point. He's probably going to fence wrestle Aoki because he talked about that on Joe Rogan. Honestly, I listened to that whole show. Pretty interesting. So he'll probably do that because he talked about wanting to be a better fence wrestler when transitioning to MMA. So he'll probably spend time with Aoki on the cage, pushing him into the fence, taking him down. He'll probably work him for a bit and then submit him with something. But that's the match they got announced, I think today, this morning. Simon texted me. He was like, have you seen this? I was like, I have not seen this, Simon. I just woke up. And I texted to the chat, and we all kind of had the same consensus. So other matches that are more exciting, where do you want to start on the Who's Number One card?
Just from the top picture.
All got announced. We got Gordon Ryan versus Luiz Panza.
Which we knew about.
Because that got announced on the last Who's Number One. Gordon talked on the mic, and he's like, look, take it on. He's a legit guy. Panza's big. I don't really think... I'll look at more Panza stuff. I'm less kind of familiar with his game because we don't cover him.
Footlocks.
Footlocks.
Guard. Like, he's got a good game. He's super dangerous. The thing is, like, again, Nogi-wise, I don't think anybody has anything for Gordon that we haven't already seen.
He's in a super weird kind of spot there where it's like...
Nobody wants to compete against him, and if they do, they just get blown out.
And that's the weird thing. It's like he's just blowing out everyone. And so it's like...
I mean, they need to do, like, handicap matches or some shit. Like, you're not allowed to do this, this, and this.
Or they got to change the rules to give somebody... It's like, the thing is, like, I don't know how
what
you
rule
would try...
set?
And that's not my point. And it's like, I can't even think of a way you would effectively handicap him, like, in an equal way or something like that. Like, fuck it, maybe give him wrestlers again and, like, make him have to wrestle more? Like, I don't know.
then it's a wrestling match.
Yeah, I know, and we've seen that before a couple times, and
I mean, the only thing like that was close to that was the Bo Nickel match, and even then, that was still like a joke.
Still one of my favorite shots I ever got backstage. Super proud of that shot to this day, Josh. Backstage with the camera, just snapping away, and got the suplex shot that you've seen everywhere on social media. That was my shot. Just saying. Super proud of it. So yeah, that match has been announced. Interested in it. Again, haven't looked at Ponza's game in a bit here. Going to go back and watch some of his highlights, look at some of his game, just to see kind of where I think Gordon will decide to take the match, because that's, I think, how it will go. Although he is dangerous, he does really explode into subs. I think Gordon will be very ready for that. Ponza is bigger, but Gordon Ryan is Gordon Ryan. Unfortunately, not much more to say there. We'll preview this when we get closer in a couple weeks, but there's not a lot of news and there's not a lot of other preview stuff this week, so I figured we'd talk about it with Josh, because Josh may not be on when we preview who's number one, so I kind of want to get your take on some of these matches.
Sure. Rocha versus Hinger.
Vagner Rocha.
Well, yeah,
Rocha's a
obviously. It's not that common, but anyway, I think that was announced like a week or so ago, but
I don't think we talked about it on the show yet, though.
No.
Which honestly,
but that'll be interesting.
Now that Wagner's at 88 or under 88, and Hinger's medalist in under 88, Wagner's medalist under 77, he's gone up in weight. I'm kind of genuinely interested to see how this goes, because we haven't covered Hinger in a year. When's the last time we covered Josh Hinger? He might have had a
fight to win.
What
for the Masters title against
that's who it was. What was Lovato?
No. Who had it forever, and he looks
Barbosa.
like Formiga. Yeah. So we just saw him like 2 weeks ago.
No, more.
It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was on that show. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
All right. Well, everything blends together, Josh. I had surgery, if you didn't know. It's been fun.
God, here we go again.
Yep. So that's interesting. I kind of want to give the edge to Hinger here, but
I don't think he's been as active.
But it's a match that I could see Wagner very easily taking via decision here. Like, he just has a style that if he doesn't let Hinger get going, I'm curious to see how the wrestling kind of plays into that. But
it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. Like, it's a hard match for me to pick, which always excites me, because they're two high ranked guys at 88, which is a fun match. Great matchmaking, because it's a match I look at and go, there favors either way that can push it. So that's good matchmaking. I'm excited for that one. Mikey Musumeci, you got anything else on that?
No.
Mikey Musumeci taking on Lucas Pinheiro. This will be Mikey's second Nogi match he's taken in 5 years. His first one was against Marcelo Cohen, which he racked up about 70 points, if there were points, and then finished him via triangle armbar? Yeah, triangle armbar.
Yeah.
Triangle armbar that he spun from his back over from the top.
This is definitely this is like a higher step up of a test for Mikey, but I still don't see Mikey having a problem.
I don't either.
Pinheiro is very, 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 very good.
Dude,
but
one of the
Musumeci
craziest rounds I've ever had. I say it every time we bring up Pinheiro. Like, I didn't know who he was. Just saw him, like, we were at an open mat, and then just rolled with him. I was like, this guy is very casually just, like,
beating the shit out of him.
I mean, like, super, and like that way that really high level guys do it, where they're super nice about it, and just like, I can't, like, there's no force. You're just so far ahead of me in these positions. In like my A game, I cannot stop you. Like, he hit me with the same butterfly guard sweep like 5 times. I was like, cool. Like, I'm just wasting this guy's time. This guy's obviously a good black belt. And then I asked, he was like, I was like, Louis, like, are you Lucas Pinheiro? He goes, yeah. I was like, cool. Like, I'm an asshole now. This is great. So, very fun match. I don't foresee Mikey having a huge problem, but Panera is definitely a guy that is one of the more dangerous guys in Nogi at roosterweight.
Yeah.
One that ranked, I think, definitely top 3.
2 or 3.
He's very, very high ranked. This is a big matchup for Mikey, a good test to see, like, hey, is Mikey ready to take on, the guys at the 80cc level? Because I think Panera was very much, at that level in Nogi. He is going to be a little bit smaller than Mikey, but not significantly. Panera's a guy we see go from anywhere from roosterweight up to 45. I think he's most comfortable at roosterweight, but I think he's doing pans at, like, featherweight or something. Nogi pans at featherweight. So, like, he's a guy that bumps up, 20, 30 pounds, not infrequently, to fight whoever, which is kind of why one of the reasons I really like Panera, like covering him. He's got a fun game, and he'll take any match. So, very tough match for him, but definitely much more experienced in Nogi than Mikey is. So, I think it's interesting in that dynamic.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find the rankings on the app through the phone,
and
it's
hard
so
on the
difficult.
App. The Flow app is kind of weird. Like, I wish that they would
almost
better. Well, I wish they make it more navigable on the app, because sometimes it's super frustrating because the content's there, and on the computer, the site's gotten better and better over the past like 4 years since I've been using it like a lot. It's just in the app, it's still super pared down. It's hard to find stuff, so it's like
Yes.
on the show, I have the computer up for a reason because we need it. Josh, would you like me to pull up the rankings for you?
I'm seeing if I can do it. No, I can't do it on here.
Okay. So that's a fun matchup. Josh, what's your any other take on that?
I mean, it's Musamachi. Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to be? How am I? Why would you bet against him?
Yeah, until he shows me like he shouldn't. You should bet against him. I don't think you should. That's 35. Do they have men's rooster?
Oh, Lucas Pinheiro is number 1.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Where's Musamachi is 7?
He's had one match. He's had one Nogi match.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
had one Nogi match in 6 years.
I still enjoyed that his gym is listed as Boop's Garage.
Yeah, that's funny. He's previously unranked, and there should be a little LOL next to that. So, again, Flow Grappling with the rankings. This is a matchup that makes a ton of sense within the rankings. There are, I think, a lot of fun matches to see Mikey in, and I'm going to enjoy that. And so, next one we got Jessica Khan versus Pati Fontes. This is a matchup that after we saw Khan's last performance, I wanted to see immediately. So, I'm very happy. This is, I think, for me, the match that will answer the most questions at women's roosterweight. For me, Fontes is ranked number 3, has struggled against Bastos, has struggled against Gundrum. I think losing both those via sub recently. I think twice to Bastos. Once at Pans, and then once at either Who's Number 1 or Fight to Win. I forget which one.
Fight to Win, I think.
And then so after Grace's performance, and then after Khan's performance last week versus not last week, two Who's Number 1 ago. Sounds really weird to say. Super curious to see what she looks like versus. It's upside down, Josh.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. Super curious to see what she looks like against Fontes. Again, this is one that I could see going either way. Fontes has had some really tough matches recently.
Well, Khan's ranked 3 and Patty is ranked 4. So, I mean, close in rankings where they will, they're going to meet. But you have to think that Bastos is the clear number 1.
Yeah.
She's beaten Gundrum. She's beaten Khan. She's beaten Fontes.
Yeah.
I think she's beaten everybody on this list.
I believe so. I could be wrong about that. There's another Brazilian woman that Bastos has gone 1-1.
Just that she just lost to, and I'm blanking right now.
But it's Batos. I'm blanking. It was on. It's you find it on BJ Heroes. They have it up. They have the woman's name up on the record there. So that's super curious to me, and I'm excited. I'm curious to see why she's not in the rankings, although they may have difficulty getting her stateside frequently.
I think it's just like this whole thing with like you're not. I don't know how they do it, honestly, where it's like, oh, this person fights this person and then they get ranked, or
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I'm fairly happy with the rankings. Like they're at least moving in the right direction. I think a lot of them are pretty reasonable. Like I don't usually see a ranking where it's like, no, I don't agree with that. It's like I see the argument. Like may not agree with it fully, but I see the argument for why they're in that position, which is not the case in all ranking systems. Especially if you look at the UFC rankings. Much happier with the Flow rankings than the UFC rankings, and I think it's a huge step forward, and I'm happy that we have it. Next match, we have Oliver Taza versus Jonathan Alvarez. A Nogi match, obviously, because it's Taza. I mean, I assume it's a Nogi match, even though
I
Taza
think they're all
does do both.
Nogi matches.
That's a good point. Yeah, probably.
I'm pretty sure they're all Nogi matches.
I
don't remember seeing a gi match.
They did them initially, because Jimenez versus Keenan, who's number 1, the first one.
Yeah, that's
right. They do have them occasionally, and they usually have... Every card, they'll have one gi match, usually an undercard match is a gi match, or like 1 or 2, but it's primarily sort of a no-gi event. I think that's Flow is pushing more of the no-gi side. They have a lot more, I think they generate a lot more interest in no-gi. Like
Probably.
all the Daisy Fresh guys are mostly known as no-gi guys. All the DDS guys are mostly known as no-gi guys. They cover a lot of the Atos guys in the no-gi context. Like I just think the no-gi scene also has more super fights that get broadcast on Flow, so it's easier for them to kind of lean into that, which, again, it's the perpetuation of professional grappling. Perpetuation? That's not the word.
It might be. I don't know.
Building up a professional grappling, it's all going to bring it up, so I'm happy that we're getting it showcased. What do you think about this one? I don't know a ton about Alvarez's no-gi game. Like, I know him much more
I'm pretty sure it's almost exactly like his gi game. Like, he'll probably adjust a few things.
Who We've seen him in Nogi. I can't offhand remember a match he's done in Nogi.
I think with Taza, when Taza doesn't get like his preferred leg positions, it kind of gets shut down for him.
Yeah, and I think that
I think that's going to happen, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I kind of think the same thing. Like if Taza can enter into that cross side, like sort of 50-50 entry, and then get your leg, like he can finish you, but Alves is gonna know, like, you know what, when you fight Tama, you know what he's gonna do. And we saw in his last match, like, knew what he was gonna do, kind of shut down his game. Even the match versus Tama, like, kind of, you know what Taza is looking for, and if you can kind of stave that off, Taza doesn't want to do a whole lot else, and so I think Alves is gonna come in with a game plan to be able to shut that down. Although if Taza gets your leg, he is a monster. He's also the bigger man in this matchup by probably 10 to 15 pounds.
Yeah, I don't think that really matters.
I don't either with the game he plays. Like, he doesn't play a top imposing game, but it's just, a piece to consider in that matchup. Although I think this is a tough one for Taza, but it'll be curious to see what Alves looks like in Nogi, because we're seeing him in more Nogi matches. I think he did a subversive in Nogi.
Maybe.
Yeah, we've seen him more in Nogi than we did previously at Brown Belt, but it's an interesting matchup. We have this is
Andrew Tackett.
Andrew Tackett. I was looking at the face going, yeah, Andrew, that's the middle Tackett.
Yeah.
Versus Michael Galvao.
Also an interesting one. Galvao's really good. So is Andrew. So I don't know. That's a pick'em for me. Like, I can't.
I can see both. I can see pathways to victory and pathways for defeat for both guys. Like, we've seen Tackett kind of get stalled out by guys. We've seen him be put on the defensive from guys. And Galvao, we have not seen him against the cream of the crop top Nogi guys. And so this is a really interesting match to kind of see where he's at. I think it's very good matchmaking. I think if he wins this match, it will put him into the rankings for Nogi. But again, it's a super curious, like, where are you at in Nogi match? And I think Who's Number One does a really good job with that. We see with the Mikey match, we see with this match, like, hey, where are you at? We know where you are in Nogi. In Gi, really, really good. Where are you at versus these Nogi guys? Like, can you start to contend? We're going to see you at trials. Like, it is a good measuring stick. And I think Tackett is a great first matchup, like, going to do him no favors on the offense and potentially going to put him into defensive positions to see, like, how his wrestling is, like how his control is, like how his leg lock defense is. I think it's a very, very interesting match, and it'll answer a lot of questions for me for like how Galvao is going to look in the future in Nogi and sort of what improvements we will see him continue to make as he rises through the rankings.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Josh? Who you got to pick on? Or you think it's a pick on?
No, it's like a toss-up. I really can't, I can't make a decision. I know they're both really good.
Yeah.
And it could go anywhere. It's kind of like the next match, like Kolabate versus what's his name? I always forget his first name. I just call him Bird because that's what everybody else calls him.
The other Wiltsey.
Yes.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking at, like, thanks, Flo, for only listing the first names or last names here. I'm like, that's not the other Wiltsey.
So, like, we saw Kolabate at the last Who's Number One.
Was it the last one or two?
It was the last one, I think.
I thought it was 2 ago, and he fought Blue Belt.
The 10th Planet guy, who I think was a purple belt.
And Cole looked good.
Yeah.
Again, you're an AOJ guy. Like, you're gonna look good. Like,
it'll be interesting because, like, the Pedigo guys, the Daisy Fresh guys are just known to be just gritty. Mm-hmm. And then you have the AOJ guys that are just smooth and super technical. And not saying that the Pedigo guys aren't technical. I mean, we saw with Garmo versus Andrew Wiltsey that, they're really good. Yeah. It'll just be interesting to see, like, those two different training mindsets clash.
Also, the kind of the context of, training is a stylistic approach that both gyms take. Pedigo is definitely more so like the American wrestling style, where grind and, like, cool, we're going to put our head to the ground, do 15 rounds, versus AOJ. The style of training is different. It's much more focused on, like, positional dominance with sort of submissions as like a complete afterthought.
I don't know about that. They're just, like, about drilling, and like controlling and making sure you're good with what you're doing, etc., etc.
Tough one to pick.
Again, yes, it's another pick'em. I know that Wiltsey probably has a ton of reach on.
He's long.
Yeah, he's big.
Yeah.
Like height wise. But it'll be interesting to see like both of their games. If Wiltsy will play guard or not, and if Abate will play guard or not.
Yeah.
So again, like that one and the Galvao and Tackett matches, total pick'ems.
Which are great. Again, that's like I like that kind of matchmaking where you're like, there's not a clear favorite here.
Yes,
it's like,
I
answer a
don't
lot of
like
questions.
knowing who's gonna win.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's fun, but usually, because honestly, because we do the show a lot, it's a lot easier for us
Just
lot
go,
of times.
That one.
It's like pick, and like, all right, well, I got to talk around this.
Yeah.
With this for the matchmaking right here, I'm excited because it's going to answer a lot of questions for me about where some of these guys are, and you're having a lot of like newer black belts and people that aren't black belts yet, but are still like on the rise in the nogi scene, and so these cards serve to answer questions for me in 6 months, where it's like, okay, I saw this from him, and then 6 months later, I saw these improvements, like with the Rotolos. Like, we saw them at ADCC, we saw them at trials, and you see these moments of improvement in their game and changes in their game, where it's like I can point to 4 or 5 matches over a 2-year period, where it's like, the guy we saw in 2019 looks nothing like the guy we saw in 2020, looks nothing like the guy we saw in 2021, and you can point to specific things that they've improved. So that's why I kind of like the style of matchmaking, because you're not throwing against these guys against like, cool, Gordon Ryan in your 4th nogi match as a brown belt. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to learn anything about his game that way.
You can learn how quickly he'll lose.
But I'm not learning anything about the guy. I'm learning about like, cool, what's Gordon going to decide to do? And that's just a whole nother different conversation here. So last match we have announced, 2 more matches we've announced, only one in this picture. Kihonus versus Anderson. Don't know much about Kihonus' game. Anderson's a DDS guy, purple belt. Had a really long match, submission only, no time limit, that turned into a time limit match on the 2 Third Coast Grappling ago against Tackett, Andrew Tackett. Tough, gritty, good DDS guy. People have talked about him for years as like a guy to keep an eye on, so it is cool to see him being featured more and us getting more of a chance to talk about him. Josh, you familiar with Kihonus?
Nope.
Okay.
Like, be real honest. Like, after this, I'll probably like dig deep into it and start looking and like make
and then if
a
we
better
do the show tomorrow, we'd be like, oh yeah, this guy, I know him.
Right.
Those are always great.
And then the Nicky Ryan versus Almeida match.
Gabriel Almeida. That's a fun match. That's a interesting match. I think it's a match that if Nicky decides to wrestle more, which is what he talked against Barch, Almeida's strong as shit, but I think Almeida will probably elect to play guard here.
It'll be interesting to see Nicky on top and see if he goes like a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. Which I think the last 2 matches we've seen from Ryan, again, he beats PJ Barch on the last who's number 1.
Not too exciting in a
it was
sense.
a very close split decision. Like,
Yes.
I watched it, I went, this is... And it was a split decision when they had it, and it was kind of like, I'm not sure if I agree. And then I watched it again, and I went, yeah, it's actually a very close match that you can make an argument that either guy won. Gabriel Almeida, what's a match you can pick from him to watch? The Lovato match was interesting.
Any one of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch a Gabriel Almeida match, like,
You'll figure out his game.
they're pretty good.
Yeah, he plays a pretty consistent game across all guys. This is a nogi match, obviously.
Was he on Subversive? Or was
He has been on Subversive. I do not recall if he was on the last one.
Okay.
My notes for the last one are not so great because we had something else that card, and I just didn't get a chance to watch it twice yet. Should be fun. Again, more of a measuring stick match for Nicky Ryan. We kind of know what Almeida's going to do. He's not been showing a whole lot of new folds to his game in the last year. We've been covering him. Nicky Ryan, we again haven't seen a whole lot new, but we've heard him start to talk about new stuff that he's working on and implementing. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to do that, and we get to learn more about like what he looks like and what he's doing. Any other kind of pieces you want to take away from that, Josh?
No.
All right. So that does it for that section. 2 matches on... Do you have anything else for who's number 1?
No.
So I figure we move into we kind of just did this kind of weird. This is a weird week for us because
There's not much going on.
Finisher sub only happened, finals match, and then there's one other match on the card I really want to talk about. Do you want to kick it off with the finals match, Josh?
I'm blanking on the second name, but I know Basil Hafez from Balance, our team, won in overtime.
Yep, EBI style tournament.
By quickest escape. It was a pretty interesting match, and I hate that I'm blanking on the other guy's name right now.
No, the problem is before
the
the show, I
stream
couldn't
isn't
find notes
up anymore.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I wasn't really writing it down because I was going to watch it again like 5 minutes before we started recording just to get the name. But it was very, like, positionally, Basil was just on top of it. He was just going where he wanted. His opponent, and it'll come. Watch the video pop up when we're done recording.
As always, Josh, in true Grappling Rewind fashion,
his
bracket
opponent
comes out an hour before the show ends, or right before it comes out, or a major pullout. Welcome to Grappling Rewind.
So his opponent was good at escaping in regulation because Basil was just all over the arms, trying to get to the neck. Stayed on the back the entire time over every overtime round, and just controlled long enough. Had great escapes from the back and from the armbar position. Big ups to them. It's awesome seeing our team on other things and winning them. So that's always good. And then we can just jump over to Cockle really quick.
Yeah, Andrew
I almost
Cockle.
called him Koshal.
We called him Koshal for like a year and a half on the show back in like 2017, 18. Then we talked to him. He's like, hey, it's actually not Koshal, it's Cockle.
Yeah.
And it's a mistake that we've carried on for years to come.
Yes.
He had a really nice...
Like all of his transitions from like that guillotine to taking the back.
He started off standing. If you haven't watched it, the highlights
on Flow.
Yeah, well, the whole event highlights on Flow, which I thought was super weird, with no results, but just the like a 3.5 minute highlight of the event, which is cool. Again, I love to see it get to a bigger audience, so it's great. But I saw this match on an Instagram highlight before I watched the stream, and it was Andrew on the feet, jumps for a guillotine, like a jumping guillotine, the one you never hit. Then from that, off the defensive tom, comes down to a single leg, transitions over to the ground, then goes from a turtle position from the back, then instead of like throwing the hooks in, switches off to an arm, but loops his outside leg over into like a triangle from the back, and then finishes a belly down triangle from the back armbar combination. And I was just like...
It's pretty impressive.
Bro, the funniest thing about this is triangle from the back is something Rachel has been specifically working for like 3 months. So I'm seeing more and more triangles from the back, and I'm going, is this the new like a thing, or is just in my head so much because Rachel's working it so much? But the transition here, this is not a transition to triangle from the back that I have seen in a very long time. Like from not throwing the hooks into the back, but getting it from the turtle position. And it's something that I saw more in like 2014. Guys were doing this, and then it sort of fell out of favor. So it's interesting to see Andrew do a move that I haven't really seen much of in 6 or 8 years almost.
They did one in training on Saturday. It shocked me. I was like, oh, hey.
It's cool. It's just not a transition you see off the back very often. It's there, especially if you can thread the leg through. And the way that he does it while posting up and just has the positional control of the hips to keep him there is just a really interesting transition, and it's not something that you see a whole lot and see very often. So it was a delight to see that this morning when I woke up. I was like, look at that. That's a rare transition to a sub. And the camera angle catches the foot placement nicely. So overall, I was really, really happy to see that. The whole stream, I think, will be back up probably later today.
Hopefully.
Usually they're pretty good about that. They sometimes pulls it down for whatever reason, and it gets back up at a later date. So you can watch that. That was, there was a couple other events that happened, but that was the big event that happened this weekend. Basil's now the absolute champion. Curious to see who will take on next. Also on the card, Frank Rosenthal took on Gabe Tejada as well. Haven't got a chance to look at that match yet, but there was some other good super fights on the card. Check it out on YouTube for free. Josh, do you want to move into the IBJJF Nogi Pans? There's no brackets yet because it's
not going
Monday.
Yet, yeah.
And then on Thursday, on the 14th, you'll get the brackets. But right now, we just have the division entrance. And so I figured we'd go through the division entrance and then talk about
just pop in a few of them.
Who we think potentially is the front runner. Again, we hate to sort of pick without getting the brackets.
These are so, like, weird.
Because you can see, like, oh, 3 guys didn't show up. Or, oh, this guy's on the same side
or this guy got DQ'd, or this, that, and the other thing. So it's like, this is the worst time to be like, this person is the standout of this division.
But we can pick, like, Again, the heel hooks now throws a bit of a wrench into this. Like, there are some
That's
guys,
the other thing too. It's like, yeah,
there's some guys that I would have previously not picked here that now I think have a much better shot with that submission and those new rules in 2021 being added. So that is really curious. I'm actually really excited to see how this changes it, because we've seen some absolutely atrocious heel hook defense recently from the dude. You've seen the Instagram highlights where it's like, what is he doing? Oh, he's gonna tap. Okay, cool. It's interesting again because you see a whole class of grapplers that have
no idea what the hell they're doing.
Historically, been only competing in the IBJJF or without heel hooks for years and years and years, and it's being added, and you're seeing like, ooh, that is not the current best practice for dealing with that sub at like a black belt or like a brown belt level. You see a lot of stuff at the brown belt level that's like, makes you kind of worry. But curious to see how it changes the field. Josh, where do you want to start with this the preview for the divisions?
Let's just start from the lightest and work our way through.
Men's roosterweight division of 12.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's a really big roosterweight division for a Nogi event for IBJJF. Yeah, that's awesome.
So names that pop out to me anyway: Dustin Ordinario, Lee Rosenfeld. That's because he's local.
A local guy out of
Same
form.
thing with Dave Zenario, also from a local team.
Yep.
Let's see. Nobody like.
Where's Pans this year?
Texas.
Texas?
Texas. Because New York still isn't open yet.
Yep.
Just a field. Not a lot of like your people that you're used to seeing. What's his name?
Lucas Pinheiro.
Well, him.
He's at light feather, I think. I don't know why I think he's at light feather, or feather, actually.
I have no idea. Let's look.
Yeah, I thought he was at feather.
Junie's in light feather.
Yeah, so
as we jump
in division, that's roosterweight. Roosterweight's fun. Hard to make a direct pick there. Again, this one will really depend on bracketing and who actually makes the trip down to Texas. Men's light feather, we have a division of 13. I think one of the Meows is here, and one of the Meows is in Masters. And Lovato is also in Masters as well.
Yes.
We have Paulo Meow.
Meow's in this in light feather.
And Junie is in this as well.
Junie's in it.
Which is curious because they're different teams now.
Yes. Well, Paulo's, they're repping the Cicero Costa
always
stuff.
been Cicero Costa.
Right. But we also have Richard Alarcon's in it. You're
Ray
seeing
De
a lot
Leon.
of... Yes, you're seeing Ray De Leon. You're seeing a lot of people that are like 10th Planet people start to make these IBJJF jump overs, so hopefully they know all of the rules and they don't get themselves disqualified. I think the standouts for this division are Paulo Meow and Junie Ocasio. It'll be interesting.
I also wouldn't put it past Alarcon. Like, Alarcon can play spoiler for a lot of guys, and given the right matchup, like he is. Again, I would agree with you though. You're never good to bet against Paulo Meow, and you're never good to bet against Junie at light feather. Featherweight, Junie's a little undersized for it, but we still have seen him punch up hard at 45 and 55.
Light feather's his go-to.
I would
man.
love
That's
to see
a
a final matchup between Junie and Paulo like that. And I'm guessing that IBJJF will probably bracket them on opposite sides, given the history there.
They might not. Who knows?
They might not, but they're typically pretty good about that. They usually, former teammates, they will still kind of respect, like, we'll keep you not in the first round together. And again, it's a guy like Paulo Meow, so they're usually going to give him the benefit there of like bracketing, which, he has kind of earned. Also, Jack Stapleton is in this as well.
Oh, yeah, I skipped over that.
We don't see his name usually. It's usually spelled differently and put in differently there.
Well, it's as John.
Yeah.
So...
It's the actual name.
Yes.
So moving on to men's featherweight, unless you got anything else for light feather. Standout here, we got Marvin Costell, I'm curious at featherweight. I thought he was historically a bantamweight.
No, I don't think he's that small.
He's like smaller than me, I thought. He's long and
featherweight
lanky.
is like up to like 50 something or like 49 at the very like highest. So it doesn't surprise me. We have Josh Cisneros, Scott Dance, Adam Benayoun.
We got Frank Rosenthal. Oh, no, sorry.
Frank Rosenthal.
Yeah,
is in
he's
it,
low.
yes.
Yeah, Frank Rosenthal's in the division. No.
Cisneros for me is that standout.
Yeah.
That
a clear pick for me in
that's
this
like
division.
a clear pick for me for
Division
this
of
division.
19, so a big division.
A nice little division though, so it'll be interesting. You can yell at us and be like, "No, this guy, watch him. He's probably really, really, really good."
Would it be fun? Again, we're seeing
Yeah.
this is the first major Nogi event that has heel hooks which for me is much more interesting because there's a whole like aspect of game that's not just been taken out now. It's like, hey, this is a much more modern Nogi event now, and you're seeing the influx of like high level guys coming into these Nogi events. IBJJF Nogi Pans has historically not been just a giantly attended event with prestige at the black belt level. I think the heel hooks will definitely add to that, and it's a good thing. So, should be fun. Again, I would agree with you, Josh. Josh Cisneros here is probably a pretty good hedging of your bet, especially if you look at his gi pants performance and then his performances on Who's Number One in Flow and Fight to Win.
I just see some people in lightweight that are normally in featherweight. I think they're avoiding somebody.
Well,
or they're just lazy and they don't care about cutting weight.
Dude, lightweight's a division of 29.
Yeah, it's
giant
big.
Division. We got
Gianni Grippo. I'm assuming this is Johnny Tama. It might not be. It might just be another Johnny.
From Alliance?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Is his last name Tama? Oh, it's got the T there. So I assume that's Johnny Tama. Dear God, guys, please just list the whole names. That's one thing I liked about Who's Number One last time, and they listed the whole name.
Oh, that was great.
And
Diego Bispo is in that one. Sort of local. Herbert Burns. Who else? Jordan Holy. There is a whole lot. I like how I'm reading this off my phone, and you just have it over here.
Yep, I'm just scrolling
DeAndre
away.
Corbray. Both of the Murdoch brothers, and we also have DeAndre Corbray, who's been in and out of like local stuff. Although he's listed under Luiz Pajares now, that's interesting. Maybe he moved. Who else?
Mateus Gabriel in middleweight. Oh, sorry, middleweight. I scrolled down. I'm out of lightweight again. I was like, that's weird. That's a big weight jump.
Lightweight is huge. 20, almost 30 people. That's awesome. Let's go to middleweight.
Do you have a pick for that division or no?
Oh. Who? Grippo has a good chance. Holy has a good chance.
I think
Herbert Burns.
I think Holy with the heel hooks in IBJJF could be a different kind of dude. He's one of the guys that I'm kind of like, ooh, he can heel hook a lot. Like, he catches guys by surprise a lot.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm really interested in like a lot of the matchups at middleweight too, so I kind of want to.
Let's move on to middleweight then. Division of 23. Standout here at the beginning.
PJ Barch, Paul Barch. Let's see. Ronaldo Jr., not Rolando. I don't think that's Celso Vinicius under Carlson Gracie team. That would be sick, though.
Mateus Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Yep.
Hanato Canuto.
Yep.
Who else is in here?
I can never get his name.
Khalil Fadala.
Yeah.
Yeah,
see him a ton of the stuff only seen, so it'd be cool to see him with the heel hooks in IBJJF. We have Rena Matliab as well from Alliance here. Who else?
Oliver Taza is there.
Yep.
Enrique Galarza. Let's see. Oh, no, I thought that was Felipe Silva, Italo Mora. Who could be a different Italo Mora that I'm thinking of?
Well, the guy from Unity. One from Unity.
Yeah, then it's a different one that I'm thinking of. But still, all like super tough competitors.
Barch 23.
Barch has a really strong chance. It'll be interesting to see if he runs into Ronaldo Jr. or Canuto, who I was about to bring up as well.
All three of those matchups are and Hugo Marcus is in there as well.
Oh yeah.
Those are the three matchups I'm most curious about. If we see PJ Barch against either. Actually, no, Mateus. Oh man, this is a fun division. There's some really.
Gabriel, yeah.
This is a great division because there's a bunch of matchups we've never seen before. Like I think Rolando. What is it? Ronaldo. God, it's gonna kill me to this day. Ronaldo. It'd be interesting to see him against any of those guys. Mateus Gabriel against any of those guys. Which I think he's actually. Mateus Gabriel at middleweight is surprising to me. That's up higher than he usually is, but he's gotten a little older, maybe a little bigger.
Don't think he cares.
PJ Barch versus any of those guys is going to be super interesting, especially with PJ's wrestling in the IBJJF format. Now that we add heel hooks, again, it's exciting. And then Taza is a guy that can heel hook his way to victory. Saw him do that, I think, at the Atlanta Open, just breaking legs, which is always great to see. Nothing else in that division should be really interesting.
This is good too.
Medium heavyweight, division of 23.
Let's see. Vinicius Wong, Charles McGuire, who seems to just be doing jiu-jitsu all the time after fighting. That's super cool.
Just neat.
David Garmo. Let's see. Pedro Hosha, John Combs, Valdir Arujo, Jamie Canuto. Let's see, where else? Pedro Pelharis, who's
Andrew Wiltsey's
sick.
in here.
Wiltsey, who I was about to bring up,
Alex
so we
Larmy.
could get a rematch of the Who's Number One match. Who else?
Oh, we could. That's actually, depending on how they're bracketed,
Yep.
that would be super interesting.
Also,
in the IBJJF rule set.
Jefferson Guarisi. There's these divisions with 20+ people are like really, really deep divisions.
And that's kind of why I'm excited for this, because it's a legitimate like Nogi rule set now with like moving into guys that are more so like high ranked guys in the Nogi scene at these divisions. Now you have a more complete rule set and you have the depth of divisions here. Like I think Nogi Worlds this year could be
if they
really
do it.
interesting. I assume you're doing Nogi Pans, you'll do Nogi Worlds.
Are you doing it again in Texas? Like,
I'm not sure.
Where are you do? That's the thing.
I'm just curious with how many guys that we're seeing in these divisions versus what we saw the attendance of the previous big Nogi events for IBJJF. Like, it's a different game now. It's very, very. It's a big shift. It's exciting to see these huge divisions with this level of talent. Previously, we've picked these Nogi events, and it's like probably going to be this guy. Probably this is.
I just find it like weird. Like, there's a couple of divisions where there's 25 to 30 people, and then you drop off.
At heavyweight's a little smaller.
Well, no, like even light feather is just under 20. You know, light feather is 13, rooster is 12, and then you get into the 29, 23, 23.
I still think the world's a little weird still. So that.
I mean, I get that too, but you've got these people that are competing, so they're like,
Yeah.
fuck it, we're going to compete. Anyway, let's go to heavy. Giancarlo Bodini, Gustavo Batista, Hulk, Benji Silva,
Hunter Colvin's in here.
Hunter Colvin. Who else?
I'm gonna go with Hulk here. Hulk or Gustavo Batista.
I think that's going to be a closeout.
Yeah,
I think they're going to close out because they still don't put them on the same side bracket to avoid that, a la ADCC. So I think it's a strong chance that Gustavo Batista and Lucas Barbosa close out.
So do they have a fight though?
No,
because
no.
Who had the fight? I think didn't Gustavo and Dom have a fight?
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Hulk is a guy that'll close. So I'm curious to see. Potentially,
I wonder if that was more of like Dom's thing than Gustavo Batista.
Kind of might have been Dom's thing. I don't know why they agreed to it, but still,
yes,
interesting. Again, I think a closeout. The two biggest name guys are both from Atos and Gustavo and in Hulk.
Let's go to super heavyweight.
14.
Elliot Kelly, Michael Perez, Arnaldo Maidana, Jackson
Hassam Rita is here.
Oh yeah, although again I wonder if he puts his name, since he was in Japan for so long, how it's listed, or maybe it's just listed like that on his.
If they list him as Isaac, yeah, because we see the flow guys.
Everybody's called him everything else. The dude's name is Hassam Rita.
Isaac.
Hassam Isaac Rita.
Well,
I'm assuming that in the order it's Rita Hassam Isaac. So it is what it is, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Matt Leighton. We haven't seen him in a while.
Oh, really?
Matt Leighton's in super heavyweight. So is
Johnson.
Bones. Diego Ramallo. This one's going to be sick.
This is a fun one.
Perez is going to be a threat. Obviously, Elliot Kelly is going to be a
Michael
threat.
Perez is in here as well.
Wow, Arnaldo Maidana. This one is like super heavyweight is going to be a division to watch because there's like a lot of guys that can win this, and there's going to be a lot of excitement in it.
And there's going to be Hassam Rita trying to break everyone, which is exciting because Hassam is like, "Oh, cool, I can sub you. I'm going to do that."
So
he did have a slower match with Sloan Clymer this last week a couple weeks ago at Who's Number One, but that is kind of not historically a style that either of those guys have. So that's kind of why it was definitely a weird matchup. But Hassam has looked good in IBJJF rules in Nogi and in the gi. So I'm, again, more curious to see what he looks like because we just haven't. Now that he's moved to the U.S., we're getting more comp footage from him, and I'm excited about that. A lot of the other guys who know we stack up. Haven't seen Bones in a while, Devontae Johnson. I would love to see Bones versus Hassam. Like, that would be a really fun matchup. Both those guys tend to go and tend to be able to play the rules really well. So That would be exciting. Again, I also haven't seen Matt Leighton in a year plus.
I think it's been more than that. The last time I remember seeing him was Fight to Win versus Tim Spriggs. Like, that's the last time I remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could have been after that, but... Oh, you know who else? Tex Johnson, I think.
That was like two plus
Was
years. That was
that?
Sub-Spectrum. Yeah, that was before that
Okay,
match.
so then...
Yeah, that was like 2+ years ago.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw Matt Leighton.
We've seen him on Fight to Win, you're right. We've seen him, I think, most recently on Fight to Win. But, again, curious to see where he's at, especially
Always
in Nogi.
love watching his jiu-jitsu, especially in the gi, but it'll be interesting to see what he's doing in Nogi. And the fact that he's at super heavy.
He's a bigger guy, but
I know he's a bigger guy, but he's
big.
not, like,
He's
enormous.
yeah,
I remember
big.
seeing him in, like, the Red Corner's locker room, and... You know, he wasn't big, and I talked to him for a couple... He wasn't, like, huge, but maybe he just got bigger. Who knows? Maybe he's shredded.
No idea. It's been a year, so we don't know.
It's been a while.
Again, I agree with Josh here. A toss-up division, have no idea who could... A lot of guys can take that division. Should be fun. Or, one of the guys we didn't mention in the division could stand out. Under the ultra heavyweight division of 8, we have Tex Johnson here. We have Joseph Dinkshire. We have
Diego Ferreira.
Victor Hugo.
Victor Hugo. Somebody that we haven't seen on the competition a lot outside of the area because he had a kid, but someone that's local to us. Alex Oliveira. You remember when he used to...
Oh, that's Alex. That's him.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's him.
He's giant.
Yeah, he's big.
He's a giant
He's a big
hoss of a
dude.
man.
I wonder if he didn't feel like cutting weight and he just went to ultra heavy instead. Like he was
a big dude. He's
always been a big dude, but he's never been like out of shape.
I've ever rolled with him in Nogi.
I have once, and he beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's really good.
So that should be.
Beat the
That's
shit out of me.
I didn't realize that was him.
It'll be interesting.
GF team. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't seen him compete in a while, and again, I know he recently had a child, so he's breaking back out there, I guess.
Again, I'm gonna pick Tex or Victor Hugo here.
I'm gonna pick Victor Hugo. That's a safe bet,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting to see Texas on yet another team.
He's on Alliance now.
Yeah,
He was
just on Fight Sport.
Yeah, he was at Fight Sports for about a year, maybe a year and a half.
Longer.
Almost.
Last time I remember seeing it, last time he competed and it was announced he was fighting with Fight Sports.
It was like a month ago.
Interesting.
So I'm curious to see he's moved again. He's back to Alliance actually, because he was previously Alliance when he was with Lepre. Isn't Lepre Alliance?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
When was
Tex
he Lepre?
He was at Lepre in Atlanta back in 2000 and when he was fighting MMA.
Pre-Unity then.
Yeah, pre-Unity.
Oh, okay.
So he was at Lepre's before he went to Unity.
That dude is all over the place.
Yeah. This is probably this is back when he was fighting, so probably 2012.
Well, I mean, he was still fighting when he was at Unity. He was smaller at Unity. He
Was he doing MMA at Unity?
He was fighting at like 85 or 205. Like
Okay.
he definitely he didn't strike me as a big guy when I saw him at Unity.
Okay.
But
That would also have been 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah, it was quite some
that
time.
trip was a couple years ago.
Yes.
At this point. So it's funny. All the guys on that trip are now like two belt levels above where they're at the trip. A lot of them. Whatever. Non sequitur for something that's not relevant here. Victor Hugo, I think it wouldn't surprise me to see him take this division.
Oh, this is interesting too. I just looked at this. I moved on to the female.
We're on the female light featherweight division. We have no female roosterweights this time.
Jessican and Pati Fontes are both in the same division.
And so is Maisa Bastos. And Sofia Amarante.
Yeah. And maybe that wasn't her, I don't think. But we could see that match already beforehand, number one. But Maisa Bastos is the clear favorite in my mind. Like, to take that division.
Definitely, yeah. It has wins over Fontes, has a couple wins over Fontes, has a recent win over Fontes, and has a win over Khan, right? She's beaten Khan, correct, or no? I think so. I'm confused
I
about
believe
this now.
so, yes.
Should be fun. Yeah, Maisa Bastos is the lady.
Yeah, she beat Khan. Yeah, just popped back into my head. Featherweight, 4 people. 4 people. Everybody gets a medal.
Gabby McComb.
Gabby McComb, Amanda Montero, Amanda Canuto, and Alex Wen, who, if you're looking at the name and you're going, what? Yes, Alex Wen. That's her.
It's spelled the Vietnamese way. Looks like Nugent.
No, but it's not listed as Alex on there either.
Oh, look at that. You caught that, Josh. I didn't catch that.
I just knew that.
Should be fun.
Because she's kind of local as well.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think takes this one, Josh?
Macomb is a strong, solid pick. It'll be interesting to see how this goes, just because it's a 4-person bracket and how it's laid out. I'd be interested to see Alex versus all of these women. I'm interested to see Gabby Macomb versus all these women. Amanda Canuto, Patricia Machado against all. Like, it's
these are fun brackets. A smaller bracket, but definitely a fun bracket, and top level women, which is cool to see at a major Nogi event.
Another 4-person bracket in lightweight. We have Judith Gomez, Natalie Hibero, not the same, not Natalie Jesus.
No.
Victoria Montresor and Sheila Lindsay. I am not super familiar with any of these ladies. So that means that I'm going to very closely watch this division.
Watch the entire division. It's also a division of 4, so I can watch every single match in the division, which is kind of cool.
It's not hard to watch it. Yeah. A lot of them are 4. Going on to middleweight.
Which is nice to see that you're not, a lot of divisions aren't like 1 or 2. We're getting a lot of 4. We're getting technically full divisions where we have a full medal podium, which is exciting and great. Again, something we didn't see 3 years ago in the women's Nogi for IBJJF. This is exciting.
4 was like a big division.
4 was a big division,
years ago.
So I'm excited about this.
So we have Jessica Swanson, Raquel Canuto, Vanessa Griffin, and Erin Johnson.
I want to see Canuto versus
Canuto.
Griffin.
I was just about to say Canuto and Griffin, I have a feeling are going to be in the finals, but these are going to be very easy divisions to watch. Sorry, I jumped to middle heavy and I was like, ooh. But I think Raquel Canuto is going to take the division.
Wouldn't surprise me. Also, wouldn't surprise me to see Griffin play. Spoiler to that, but Canuto, I think, is relatively the favorite here. Although we've seen Canuto have some kind of on and off performances, we've also seen Griffin have some kind of on and off performances. If either one of them show up in good form, it would not surprise me to see them take the division. Canuto's been a little more consistent in Nogi. We don't see Griffin as much in Nogi, but still a very, very good female black belt.
Yes.
Moving on to the medium heavyweight division, we got Elizabeth Clay, we have Rafaela Geddes, and we have Grace. I can't pronounce the last name, Josh, from Henzo's.
McSally?
Yeah.
I
forecast we get another rematch between Geddes and Clay. I think that Geddes probably decides to implement the same kind of game plan that she did in the first match.
It's hard to pick against her. It's so hard to pick against her. She's been so solid.
And it was really interesting to see kind of how she approached Clay the first time, where it's like, we know Geddes, she'll fight you everywhere. And in the Clay match, she just went like, I know exactly what you want to do in Nogi, which is rip my legs off. So I'm going to play a match that does not let you do that in the IBJJF system, because we saw them fight in Who's Number 1. Or might have fight to win. I think it was Who's Number 1.
Fight to win.
In the IBJJF format, there's a little more stalling penalties. There's points. There's advantages.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
I think Geddes will approach the match the same way she approached the previous match. Again, they fought, a month and a half ago?
Like a crazy person?
Yeah.
And just, try to crush?
Yeah.
She's so good.
But Geddes won the most recent one. I'm not going to pick against her. Again, Clay can make some changes to her game and, potentially change that. But Geddes has looked unstoppable recently. I'm not going to pick against Geddes. Again, Clay is one of the top-ranked women in the world. Geddes is one of the top-ranked women in the world. Super fun rematch that we'll see. Not sure about Bridget, where she falls into that, but I want to see the rematch between Clay and Geddes, so should be fun in Division of 3. On to the female heavyweight Division of 4. We have Maria Miliasek, we have Elizabeth Mitrovic, we have Emily Silva, and Maggie Gundati. Margaret Rose Gundati.
Again, how is she a heavyweight?
Gundati's...
I think she's just going into heavyweight.
Gundati's big. She's strong and big. She's bigger than me.
I'm aware of this, but she's almost as tall as I am, but she didn't seem like...
I interviewed her when she was
But I
heels.
also have to think heavyweight and female is not what I'm thinking.
Oh, I mean, it's not men's heavyweight, yeah.
It's 145, 150. something like that.
I think it's 160 something. I think I could be
You're gonna make
wrong
me
about
look it
that,
up.
but not like we can just easily look it up. Wouldn't be too hard. But interesting division. Josh, do you have a clear? I don't have anyone clear in this. We've seen a lot of them. Again, I'm less familiar with Emily Silva. She is Atos, so I think I'm just
Maliasic
blanking.
and Grandati, I feel, are going. Last time I picked against Grandati in like this type of division, I was way off. Sorry, I'm looking at. Let's see, where is heavyweight? Heavyweight for female is 169 pounds.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow.
159. So, again, it'd be exciting to see Grandati. I think Grandati and Maliasic will match up here. It's a tough match for Grandati. Grandati's been on a bit of a skid recently, but definitely...
She's been... I wouldn't even
But
call
she's
it a
also been
skid. She's going up against
the
like
best
these
in the world.
monsters.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Very interesting matchup.
Finally, super heavyweight.
On to super heavyweight, we have a division of two. We have Kendo Riesling and...
Reusing, not Riesling.
What is it?
Reusing.
Reuse. That's it. It doesn't...
Reusing.
Reusing.
Or rusing at like the best, but not Riesling. And then you have Mayara Custodio from
Checkmate.
Checkmate, who I'm not familiar with. And Kendall recently just won on Fight to Win at something, didn't she?
Subversive. I think she
I don't
had
know.
subversive matches.
So it's not going to be hard to like just watch any of the women's divisions.
Yeah.
They're not these super stacked deep divisions where it's like, oh, I have to jump between all these matches.
Well, there's like cool. There's not enough time in my Saturday and Sunday to be able to watch it before the show. So it's
right.
You know.
So it'll be cool to see all the women, like all of those divisions, and watch all of those matches and familiarize myself with people that either A, I can't recall off the top of my head, or B, that I've just never seen before, and see how they stack up against all of these other people that I do know about.
So, should be a fun event. I'm honestly more excited about this than I have been excited about for an IBJJF Nogi event in some time. A lot of big divisions, a lot of fun divisions, a lot of questions to be answered. I think it's on Flow. I heard a rumor that IBJJF was leaving Flow a couple of weeks ago. I don't know.
And where are they going to go? Are they going to go back onto like YouTube? Are they going to have their own thing where you have to pay for it?
They had
because
6 years ago?
The
IBJJF
thing is,
TV?
like, if you do that, you're not going to get people paying for a lot of these. They're going to pay for Pans and Worlds and like Europeans. So
Probably.
you have three things that you're going to get paid for.
I would love to see them stay on Flow because it parts up the match. It's easier. It's better.
It's the best way for them to be seen.
It's also the best way for me to watch them because the interface for Flow for events like this works a lot better.
Finally. Like, I mean, years ago when they first started, it was pain in the butt.
And it's still rough from time to time, but usually like within a week of the event being up,
and they have the flow zone thing, and you know, you have all that shit.
It's a better way to watch it. So
it's a better way to watch.
Excited for it. Josh, I got nothing else. That's what we got next week. Any other kind of closing thoughts on IBJJF Pans? Heel hooks are going to be a big factor here.
It'll be cool to see.
Not before.
It'll be cool to see. It could work as a great equalizer for some people. It could work against some people because they're just going for it and the other person just tries to crush them. Mm-hmm. It'll be really interesting.
Definitely going to move the game forward for this group of competitors, which I'm happy about. Again, advancement is always good for the sport of jiu-jitsu, so I'm happy that we're seeing that. That's all I got, Josh. What do you got going on this week?
Work.
Nice.
Work. Waking up early to train early in the morning.
Nice.
I might be able to make it into the comp class at Gamma.
Exciting.
I somehow managed to make my schedule like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, working in a restaurant.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Magic right there.
Like, as like a working guy, not as like a GM.
No. Yeah. So I just like... The crazy thing is, because I switched jobs, which is funny, I'm wearing my old works hoodie right now. But I switched jobs, and then that job didn't get bought out, but they're under new management really quickly, and they said that job wasn't ready to open to the general public. So now I'm working at the other companies at a different restaurant and learning all sorts of other new things. That's really fun, but working with a bunch of people that have been grinding away at the same stuff that I'm now learning for so long, and they're like, oh no, this is easy. I'm like, not to me. I'm a giant idiot. Like, what?
And this is new, a whole new set of skills.
Like, I
and
didn't
things.
not that I don't know how to work with fish or anything like that, but I didn't do a lot of fish work. Welcome to the culinary podcast with Josh and Maine. So like I learned some cool things, some cool little techniques, different stuff like that. So it's very interesting. So it gets me excited to go to work.
It's cool.
I don't have to sit at home and not do anything, which I had been doing for the past like 2 months prior to that, and that drove me crazy. I don't know how you're going to deal with it other than like diving deep into your weird hobbies that you have outside of this.
Mm-hmm. Lots of flying the drone, Josh. Been flying a ton of drone. It's just been great. You ever have a little time off and get to fly a drone every day whenever you want to when it's not raining or windy? It's been pretty awesome. I've been loving it. Also, like just sitting on the couch and recovering from surgery has been a big part of my time off as well.
Do you play a lot of video games now?
So many video games. I bought Pokemon Snap.
You have a Switch?
Yeah, Rachel got for me like as a present like in March sometime.
Well, let's see. We're less than like a month out from your wedding too.
I know.
You think you're going to be able to walk down the aisle?
Yeah, I should be. Should be good for that. Should be
like
good.
humbly jumbly?
No, I should be good.
Are you putting the ring on Bandit? Is he going to take the ring down the aisleway?
He might.
Is he going to be the ring bearer?
He's very cute.
He is cute dog.
So, yeah, that less than a month out. I got to buy the ring still.
Wait, what?
That's what I was shopping for before you came to the house. Don't worry about it, Josh.
How do you propose to somebody and not have a ring?
No, she has a ring. I don't have a ring.
Oh, that ring.
Yeah,
oh, that doesn't fucking matter.
No, I know that.
See that one?
Yeah.
$90.
Nice.
Because silver is more expensive than white gold, apparently.
Well, I'm gonna get probably tungsten, and like a giant black tungsten ring because that's what kind of
no.
person I am.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Because what happens if you break your finger?
Then they lose the finger, baby.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But you want all of your fingers.
I mean,
that's why I got a softer
others.
metal so they could
Nine
just cut the
others.
ring. I don't
That's
care
what it
about
is.
that. I don't need some like next level fucking carbide shit or whatever.
That's what I want.
No.
Compensate, Josh. So that's what I got. That's what I got going on. Any other fun stuff, Josh? That's all you got.
If you're also interested more about Maine's wedding, or you're thinking about like, man, who are they going to have to preside over said wedding?
That's not public yet, Josh. No one knows that.
Oh, well, now it is. It's me. So I am an ordained minister, and I'm going to be in between
Who are you ordained through?
the Universal Life Church.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like Dudism or something.
I am ordained under that as well.
Figured that doesn't surprise me. in the
Also,
slightest.
I am a Jedi priest. I did a whole lot of stuff in my younger years on the internet and got ordained through a whole lot of things.
So I get to pick which one.
I'm just going straight forward. You said you wanted it quick and,
I do
and
want
over
quick.
with. So just be like, this guy, this girl, they're going to get hitched. Anybody got a problem with it? No? Solid. Make out, fuckers.
Drinks.
But then it won't be like that because I'm going to keep it kind of like PG for both of their families.
Yeah, I'm getting married in 3 weeks. It's exciting. I'm super excited about it. So that does it for this week's show. Before we get more off the rails, as always in the show, I'm your host, Mange, and the co-host,
Josh.
And we are the Grappling Ground. We'll see you on the mats whenever that is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.